It's Wednesday night.
On here, Theater Barn's new work series is live!
Hello.
To New York Theater Barn's New Work Series live.
Didn't you love that new opening? We were literally like, we did that this morning.
That was so much fun in the rain.
In the rain. And now it's nice out, but we couldn't wait. Hi, guys. I'm Jen Sandler, and I'm the Associate Artistic Director of the company.
And I'm Joe Barros, the Artistic Director of the company. Tonight, we are excited to present excerpts from the new musicals Clicquot and Sean's Story Part 1, The Awakening, making this the 20th virtual installment of our New Work Series.
Which is like so insane. With all of our programming combined, the New Work Series, our choreography lab, our special events, we have presented 44 new musicals and 75, which like is a crazier number for me, 75 writers since March.
Wow. 20 virtual installments of our New Work Series, 44 new musicals, and 75 writers.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, for the past 5 months, we have dedicated our time and energy to evolving our current programming to continue supporting artists and original musicals.
Absolutely. The experience has been productive. It's been deeply meaningful. It has connected so many artists, theatrical institutions, and audiences from all over the world. We've literally had people in New York. We've had people all over the country and the West Coast. We've even had people calling in from Singapore. It's crazy.
That's right. It is crazy. And we're grateful that our live virtual programming was recognized by the National Alliance for Musical Theater's Innovation and Exploration Fund. We are also grateful for a generous gift from the Amber Foundation to fund our choreography lab for the 7th year in a row.
We want to thank both of them. And we are so excited for tonight's 20th show. And tonight, as usual, we were simulcasting to Broadway On Demand. Thank you, Broadway On Demand. We've been a partner of theirs since June.
Yes, thank you, Broadway On Demand. So New York Theater Barn is an anti-racist, nonprofit theater company that actively seeks out and curates important culture-shifting stories that we don't know from storytellers we want to hear from. And because of this, our team has been meeting to discuss ways for our organization to further develop anti-racist culture.
Mm-hmm. We have carefully and thoughtfully chosen and dedicated 50% of our donations each week since June for the past 10 weeks to a different charity that supports diversity, equity, and civil rights. Black Lives Matter.
Black Trans Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
And here to tell us more about this initiative and New York Theater Barn are our friends Laura Brandel and Timothy Huang.
Hi, I'm Laura Brandel.
And I'm Tim Huang.
And we're married.
And this is our daughter, Haven.
Our journey with New York Theater Barn as a director, choreographer, producer,
and writer
led us both to empower and be empowered by incredible artists and extraordinary stories.
And meet each other and make this baby after we got married.
Right. Thank you to New York Theater Barn Board President Emeritus Sheila Ray for marrying us.
New York Theater Barn is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so your gift is tax deductible.
And half of this week's donations will go to support the Fund for College Auditions, which advocates for diversity and equity in college-level theater training programs.
We hope you enjoy the work by tonight's writers, Khiyon Hursey, Lisette Glodowski, and Richard C. Walter.
Thank you for supporting original live theater. Enjoy the show.
So you heard it here first. We are both a theater company and a matchmaking company. So if you're looking for love, if you're looking to have a baby, you will find it here.
Jen Sandler cracking jokes tonight. And what's even more wild is that, we are home for incubation and we literally helped incubate a child, that child that you just saw.
Her name is Haven. You can follow her on Instagram with the hashtag That's So Haven. I'm plugging their child. She's adorable. You should do it.
That's a baby who's going to have a lot of talent. Mm-hmm. So thank you, Laura and Tim. We miss seeing you and creating with you, and we are excited to support the Fund for College Auditions.
Yes. So last week's New Work Series featured the new musicals Songs for Slutty Girls and Tyrants.
So here's a clip from last week's presentation of Kaylee Marshall's Songs for Slutty Girls. Take a look.
Jagged little pill, they don't sleep with big girls like me. I try to cover the trouble parts. Now when I don't, the rumbling starts. Oh my God, ain't she great?
The show reads like a diary entry. So there's little vignettes that happen beforehand with all of the characters going into each song. Braves specifically talks about what it feels like to be a fat woman in a fat body in sexual situations, and how fat phobia is rampant. So I started out in performing for musical theater, and I always felt that there was a severe lack of material written by women for women. I've also always loved pop music, and I love the feeling I have when I go to a concert and I hear stories from the people on stage who are creating this music, and that's always a feeling that I've wanted to bring towards musical theater. Why can't we be funny when we talk about sex? Or why can't we talk about sex in like a fun way? And from there, Songs for Slutty Girls was born. And I really took a lot of material from my own 21st year of life.
And I was just like so completely blown away by how honest and real and funny and weird and gross it was. And I loved every bit of it because I had never seen a piece of musical theater quite like that.
Like, no one's making musical theater like this. No one's writing songs like this.
This game of war we're playing, where we're all hell bent on slaying. Yes, it's scary, and I won't let it happen to me.
I love that show, and I love the song Brave. I just love everything about that show.
Absolutely. I love Brave, and I listen to Bonnie Milligan sing it at least 3 times a week on YouTube.
Also, thanks to Paul for your comment and thinking my dumb jokes are funny. So here's a clip from last week's presentation of our second show, Tyrants, by Alexander Sage Oyen and Nora Bridget Monahan. Tyrants is a new musical about the untold story of American actor Edwin Booth, the brother of John Wilkes Booth. Take a look.
It's my future on the line. I am eager now to start. Take on every single part. I feel these words inside my heart. They're a celestial sign that this story is now mine.
Well, it is funny. Alex and I were both drawn to Edwin separately, and Alex approached me and said, I have this great idea for a musical, and I had already been developing an idea for it for a play, and so then we decided to collaborate on this piece, and we were wrestling with, some themes that were very relevant to the Civil War era that were, resurging, unfortunately. So, came from that place. It's, right now, politics still tear families apart, and there's a reluctance to engage or look at your own responsibility and your family members and, what the people around you, the people close to you believe, and, to look out for that.
And I wonder why the soldier hasn't shot me. Could he be showing mercy for his shame? But I see the look in his eyes say he's got me. And his gun is jammed, and that is all the blame. So I muster all the strength God will allot me. And I run and I plunge my bayonet into his massive frame.
I think it's such an important time for this show. I feel like, I'm going to watch the DNC after this. We're in election year, so I'm really excited we can present that show.
Absolutely.
So let's get on to tonight's programming. Our first show of tonight is the new musical Clicko.
With book, music, and lyrics by Lisette Glodowski and Richard C. Walter, Clicko tells the story of Barbe-Nicole Ponsardin in the early years of her life and how, against all odds, she became the businesswoman who rejected the status quo. In the wake of the French Revolution, one woman changed the champagne industry forever.
And now joining us from their homes are the writers of Clicko, Lisette Glodowski and Richard C. Walter.
Hi, Lisette. Hi, Richie. We're so happy you could both be with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Of course.
So Veuve Clicquot is a delicious champagne that I personally enjoy.
Me too.
I would recommend it to everyone. And Veuve Clicquot quite literally means the widow Clicquot, because Barbe-Nicole Ponsardin became the widow Clicquot at the age of 27, taking on her husband's wine business. They were married she was 21 years old and was married to Francois Clicquot for only 6 years. And she became known as the Grande Dame of Champagne. Under her ownership and her skill with wine, the company developed early champagne using a novel technique. And as most people know, the brand and the company of Veuve Clicquot, Ponsardin, still bears her name. What drew you both to this incredible untold story, and what inspired you to make it a musical?
Well, a very, very loaded question.
I had champagne had always been something that was, for celebrations, and you sort of see this bottle everywhere, the famous yellow label, and I started sort of reading and researching about who was this person behind the champagne, what was this about, and what I found was this incredible story about this woman, and it just struck me that so many people celebrate, momentous occasions in their lives with this champagne, and nobody, or very few people, really knew the story of the woman.
Well, very few people knew that Veuve means widow. So you just hear people going around being Veuve, Veuve, and you say the widow Clicquot, and they're like, what? What are you talking about? So it's, there's just been a lot of fun discovery in the story for us too. I mean, I grew up in Napa County, so wine has been in my blood, and I still didn't know the story very well. Richie approached me a few years ago, and we both went to the graduate musical theater writing program at NYU, and we were thesis partners, and we knew we were going to be writing this show because Richie came up to me one day and he goes, "Hey, do you like wine?" I'm like, "Yes." "Specifically champagne?" "Yes." And he goes, "Okay, well, do you like strong female leads? And do you like the French Revolution?" And I'm like, "Yes, whatever this is, let's call me in." And that's I was hooked ever since. So, and now we celebrate everything along the way. So thank you, Veuve Clicquot, for that.
And tell us more about the development path of the show.
So we've had 2 readings so far. We started writing this. Oh, when did we start this? This was 2017 we started.
So you were still at NYU in your program, right?
Yes, we were not supposed to be writing this outside of school. But we started writing it, and then one of the songs you'll see tonight, it was one of our very first songs that we wrote for the show, and it just kind of started falling into place, and we just kept going, and we wrote it really fast, and then we got our first reading June 1st, 2019. And then we had our next reading this past March 13th, the day after Broadway closed.
And I know you were telling us a story about how that reading happened and about how you felt the need to go on. And I think you should tell everyone about that.
Oh, man.
I mean, it was quite the week. It felt like we were out racing a monster. But the wonderful cast and team we had, they took a vote to keep going anyway. And I'm so glad they did, because we were able to have this magical experience, which I think bonded everyone really, really tightly, because we, survived. But it was crazy. And it was, Times Square was empty the next morning. But so we got the last thing in.
Wow. And I think it's so important that we make art right now, and that you did that and you kept going and you finished what you started. I think is so important.
Yeah, we were very lucky, and we had an amazing producing team that's been with us since that June 1st reading, the first one. Lori Glodowski and Patty Maurer, and they're wonderful people. And
hi, Patty Maurer.
And I know your MD is watching tonight.
Yes,
hey, Kenneth.
Our amazing Kenneth Cartman. He's also been with us since the very, very beginning. And boy, I mean, there's just nothing quite like having a music director that just like right away is like on another level, in sync with your music. It's so exciting for us every time.
You need an MD like that to tell a story like that. It's so important.
Absolutely.
So I know we have 2 songs tonight.
Yeah.
I think Jeff and I were going to say the same thing. We have 2 songs tonight. What is the first song we're going to see?
So the first song that we're going to see is The Man He Chose for Me. This is the first song actually that kind of opened up the story for us, and we wrote this song. Barbe-Nicole was part of an arranged marriage with Francois Clicquot. And their two families were the big textile tycoons of the town, and they sort of made this arrangement to consolidate their business ventures. And both Francois and Barbe-Nicole were pretty reluctant and nervous and not really sure that this was the path they wanted to go down. But over their courtship, they actually fell in love in a really amazing and unexpected way. And so it was a true love story, but we didn't quite know it yet. And so the song "The Man He Chose for Me" is on their wedding day when they see each other kind of for the first time in love.
And because it was an arranged marriage during the French Revolution, they were both Catholic. It was frowned upon. So they did a secret ceremony inside the Clicquot wine cellars. So they weren't going to be caught doing this ceremony. And they're always saying, like, you can have a marriage, but not a wedding. And yeah, I think it's interesting. You don't really hear the stories of the arranged marriages going well. And it's funny. It's a real vulnerable moment for Barbe-Nicole because her life story is about ambition, not necessarily love. So the fact that she's able to find love, Victoria Frings, who is our Barbe-Nicole, Barbe-Nicole, she falls in love, and Francois and Barbe-Nicole become not only romantic partners but business partners who believe in each other, and so this is the start of that.
I think the only arranged marriage in a musical I can think of that worked out is Fiddler on the Roof. So,
yes.
And who are your performers tonight in the song?
We have Victoria Frings as Barbe-Nicole and Kevin Massey as Francois Clicquot.
So let's see the song.
Look in your eyes, I see the stained glass windows, Notre Dame, the wedding of my dreams. When I gaze in your eyes, I don't see cellar shadows, palm to palm, the new wedding of my dreams. Would it surprise my father to know I'm falling for the man he chose for me? Swinging vine to vine, do I let go and fall before the man he chose for me? Do
I always saw before the dreamer that you've been hiding. Could it be a kind of kindred soul?
never assumed before, two opposites colliding. I can see life that's rich and full.
So many years together,
can we make it together? I'll be by your side, keeping our secrets. Would it surprise our fathers to know I'm falling for the one he chose for me? Swinging vine to vine, do I let go and fall before the one he chose for me? Do I, running all my life, but all I want to do is stand here with you,
hiding in disguise, but all I want to do is ring out the bells with you.
till death do we part. You have my heart.
Hey.
I'm just leaving that comment up for a sec because it's perfect.
Oh.
Oh, thank you. And I want to say
Hi, Eric Sorrels.
Eric.
Chills every time. How sweet.
We love Eric. So
You were gonna say, one of you were gonna say.
I was gonna say, I want to shout out real quick our incredible instrumentalists. We have they were with us in our last reading. Jackson Brothers on violin and Dan Berkery on drums, who you'll see in the next song. They're wonderful. We're so excited they can play.
Excellent. We're lucky to have.
So this
them
is
here.
actually the second week in a row we've had a musical about a historical figure, and I asked this question last week. I'm going to ask it again. What is something about Barbe-Nicole you wish more people knew?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I wish people would give her the credit she deserves, because she did not have an easy path, and she just kept persevering, and she got beaten down and beaten down, but she never apologized. She just kept doing the work, and she just defeated the odds. And I think having a story about a woman in business specifically isn't heard of, and she was a hero. And she sculpted what champagne is today, but also she was known as the first modern businesswoman, as they called it back then. And I want people, when they drink Veuve Clicquot, to know that this woman just like revolutionized the business world for women. So I hope people know that.
Well, this next song, Barrels and Casks, I would assume has much choreography.
Yes. This is the biggest song we've ever had in the history of this New Work series online. It's the biggest amount of performers, and it's very cool.
And it's featuring one of my favorite performers, Judy McLean, who
is on here. Hi, Judy.
Hey, Judy. Of a musical version of Nancy Drew with Judy McLean.
Ooh. Oh my God.
Amazing.
So why don't you guys set up this song for us?
Great. So this is Act 2, and we've sort of seen a little bit of how Napoleon's reign is really a reign of terror, and how it's kind of causing a lot of problems. He was not known as the greatest man at international relations. And so as he pushed further and further towards Russia, Russia started to push back, and these soldiers started coming through the Champagne. Napoleon actually famously said the Champagne would make a wonderful battleground. And even though he loved the Champagne, which is so awful. But anyway, so these soldiers were coming in, and these soldiers actually were ransacking cellars and like drinking all the wine. And so what Barbe-Nicole did when she heard about this happened to Moet, of Moet and Chandon. His cellars were totally pillaged. And so she heard about this, and she had this like brilliant thought, like, why don't I just wall in my really good wine and roll out all our like experimental bad wine into the streets in the barrels, and we'll just like have a party and get them all drunk, and they'll forget about it. And it worked. So it's like one of these amazing stories of her ability to see a problem and just totally turn it on its head and come up with a crazy solution that works.
Right. And because she got them so drunk, they didn't even notice that they had never touched the good stuff, which is great because she was just preparing to do her first international business sale as a solo winemaker. And so she didn't want that wine ruined, because she wasn't high enough in the business world to just quickly restock. So the stakes were high. And also, if she didn't make the soldiers happy, they'd probably kill them all. So, but we're hoping at some point that this becomes a huge dance number, because dance is really important to both of us in this show. I grew up a dancer. I love dancing in musicals because it means you're too emotional to talk, so you sing. You're too emotional to sing, so you dance. And we're hoping at some point, this is our vision, that these soldiers can one day dance on spinning wine barrels.
Ooh.
That is the goal.
Do you have a choreographer attached right now?
Yes. So Laurie Glodowski, who is also our producer, is also directing and choreographing it, and she can make magic happen. So, so please.
You have some fan girls in the audience.
So do we?
And your other producer, Patty Maurer, her past is also rooted in dance as well. So that would make a lot of sense as well.
Yes.
Right. So who is in this next song? There are a lot of people. Can we name them all?
Yes, please do. Oh, were you supposed to name them? Okay. Okay. We have Victoria Frings, it's Barbe-Nicole again. We have Kennedy Kanagawa as Louis Bonn, who is the sales distributor, their salesman for Clicko. We have Judy McLean as the dressmaker, who saved Barbe-Nicole early on in her life, and we've turned her into a huge character throughout the whole show, like the mom figure. We have Rachel Worthington, who plays Clementine, who is Barbe-Nicole's little sister. And your turn, Richie.
Oh, and so we've got Richard Lindenfelser. We have Melvin Gray Jr. We have Eric Sorrells. We have Tim Rogan. We've got Jarrett Murray. We've got Aaron McMillan. We've got
Cayenne
Chi. Gosh.
There's a lot in here.
It's like we might.
Anybody?
I think we have everybody on this chat.
Right. Well, we reached out to our cast from the March reading. We're like, hey, you guys still know this, right? And they all keep running. Yeah. So.
Well, without further ado, here is Barrels and Casts.
Bonsoir, posez à l'hôtel Ponsardin. Welcome, sweet soldiers, let's wash away your woes. Roll out the barrel, tonight dismiss your foes. Though I can't erase the horrors that you've seen, I can fill your flutes and be your champagne queen. A toast to you, shall we clink? There is ample wine to drink. Come gather one and all and don't be shy. Glasses high, spirits up, everybody gets a cup. Sparkling waterfall will not run dry. Not for me, not for you, and we'll drink until it's through. A toast to you. I understand your soul is feeling empty.
So empty.
Spend a bit of money for your heart.
Just spend some money, darling.
1 drink, 2 or 3, my loves, is plenty. I myself might be convinced to start. Let me make your evening far more bearable. Thank you, yes, that's it, another soul.
You're falling for it, oh, this is hysterical.
Thank you for your service.
Every glass is worth your gold.
A toast to you, shall we clink? There is plenty here to drink.
Come gather one and all and don't be shy. Glasses high, spirits up, everybody gets a cup.
The sparkling waterfall will not run dry.
Not for me, not for you, and we'll drink until it's through.
A toast to you.
What's all this about?
Your Majesty, we thank you for your kindness.
Lady of the graves, you brought us love.
We came here to destroy you, but then who'd have guessed you'd be waiting for us here like God above, like God above. Amen.
Men, a toast to you, shall we cling? There is plenty here to drink.
Come gather one and all and don't be shy.
Glasses high, spirits up, everybody gets a cup. The sparkling waterfall will not run dry.
Not for me, not for you, and we'll drink until it's through.
A toast to you.
Oh, we
What
forgot to say Neil Young is also in this. Sorry.
Yes, Neil Young.
Yes.
Also, like, what an assignment to tell your actors you get to drink and also sing a song for us. I love that they all had their glasses.
We always encourage it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we never told them to do that, so we were very pleased when they came back with glasses. We're like, oh, hello, doing your character work. Thank you.
I love that Eric Sorrells was in there. And for those who don't know Eric, he's actually a writer. He was one of the performers, and his collaborator on a musical called Maya that we just presented is Khiyon, who's also one of the frequent collaborators of Khiyon Hursey, who you're going to meet next. So everybody knows everybody.
6 degrees of separation in theater, like always.
Truly.
My God, people are exploding.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yay.
Someone says, I can't wait to see this live. Kevin Maskey's here and says, amazing party. He also has a very beautiful new baby. With the great Cara Lindsay.
Yeah.
Well, this was just wonderful. Jen and I can't wait to toast a real glass of bubbly with you both very soon, and we can't wait to see what happens next for the show.
Absolutely, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you so much. This has been amazing.
For having us.
Thank you. All right, and now on to the second half of our presentation, something completely different. The new musical, Sean's Story, Part 1, The Awakening.
Yes, with book, music, and lyrics by Khiyon Hursey, Sean's Story, Part 1, The Awakening, follows a young Black man as he experiences love and loss for the first time. A deep dive into the complexity of Black identity, the show explores the intersection of contemporary race politics and the desire to belong.
And now joining us from his home in Southern California is the author of Sean's Story, Part 1, The Awakening, my friend Khiyon Hursey.
Hi, Khiyon.
Hi,
Hey,
everyone.
Khiyon. So you're 3 hours in the past because you're in California.
Yeah. Sunny California. It's very humid here. Very hot.
Thanks for being here today. New York Theater Barn has enjoyed lifting up your work over the years, especially your extraordinary musical Eastbound that you're writing with Khiyon. Your work is daring, thoughtful, dangerous, inspired, inventive, and sometimes multilingual, and has changed many people's perception of what musical theater is and can be. So what inspired you to tell Sean's story and as a musical?
Yeah, well, thank you for those wildly kind words. Yeah, you know, this piece really began as just like one song that I wrote in response to the killing of Mike Brown, which goes all the way back to 2014. And, you know, from there, it kind of became an exploration of the American dream. And then I kind of recentered it around one specific man's experience and very much based on my own story, a Black queer man who experiences love and loss and navigates, you know, his own Black identity and relationship to the whiteness around him. And, you know, it's a massive coming of age story. So I'm excited to share it with you today.
Can you tell us more about your development path thus far?
Yeah, so I've worked on it at the Johnny Mercer Songwriters Project, the ASCAP workshop with Stephen Schwartz last year, and I worked on part 2 earlier this year at the Goodspeed Colony. And so yeah, there's 2 parts to this. And yeah, also Rhinebeck's Writers Retreat.
We've had a lot of writers we've worked with recently at Rhinebeck. Rhinebeck is great.
Yeah,
Yes,
I love
Kathy
it.
Evans, go Rhinebeck.
Yeah, I love Kathy.
Kathy is great. We've had Julian Hornick there recently. We've had the Half the Sky team. It's a great place.
Yeah, we had a
love all
blast seeing the Rhinebeck presentation a few weeks ago, which was really wonderful. Awesome. Well, I guess we should dive into the first song, which is called Worth Risking Everything. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's very unfortunately very relevant to, you know, the world that we're living in, and we kind of see our lead character Sean faced with the challenge of going to a protest in response to a recent act of police brutality, and we see him weighing if he's going to go or not. So very relevant to everything that's been happening.
And the performer is you.
Yeah.
So let's see our first song.
Cool.
Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. No, they don't. Not in America. 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 No, they don't. Live in America. No, they don't. No, they don't. Live in America. No, they don't. No, they.
I had a dream last night. Met Martin Luther King last night, and he told me to keep the dream alive. Like, how do I keep the dream alive when I want to run away and hide? When all I want to do is survive. I avoid all the protests. I avoid the political. Because I don't want to be arrested. Because I don't want to be criminal. Because if you go to a protest, you could get yourself arrested, and then you'll be labeled a criminal, and then you'll be marked with a record. I don't want to be arrested.
He don't want to be arrested. He don't want to be arrested. He don't.
Is going to a protest worth being arrested?
Yes.
Is going to a protest worth being arrested?
No.
Is going to a protest worth being arrested? Is going to a protest? I see the post on Facebook. I see them everywhere.
He sees them everywhere.
Take a few seconds to read and I click share. Does it get us anywhere?
No.
Does it get us anywhere?
No.
Does it get us anywhere?
No.
Does it get us?
No.
Does it get us? My friends don't seem to care about the movement, but my television tells me I'm complacent. So I weigh the pros and cons of my inaction. Then I ask myself, what the fuck is action? What's the price of freedom? What's the cost of freedom? What does freedom really mean? And is it worth risking everything?
No, not in America. No, they don't. Not in America. No, they don't. Not in America.
Is freedom worth risking everything?
No, they don't. Live in America. No, they don't. No, they don't. Live in America. No, they don't. No,
and by everything, I mean career, reputation. What if in the middle of a protest? What if in the middle of a protest? What if in the middle of a protest? What if in the middle? What if in the middle? What if in the middle of a protest I get beat by the cops, or I get hit by a car, or I get hosed by the cops, or I'm trying to figure out the balance, figure out the pros and cons of being out here, trying to figure out the mission, figure out the goals, and figure out the purpose, figure out the movement. What the fuck is the movement? What the fuck is my place in the movement? Where the fuck did Black Lives Matter come from? Did it pop up out of nowhere? Has it always been there? Have I always been here? Should I be scared? Do I deserve? Do I deserve to be scared? Back in the day, people were not scared. Back in the day, people were more aware. Because of them, I feel a moral obligation, but I can't move because I'm scared and live in fear.
Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't.
See, that's what I'm afraid of. Living in crazy times. But is it wrong to be afraid of that when freedom is on the line?
No. No.
My friends don't seem to care about the movement, but my television tells me I'm complacent. But I weigh the pros and cons of my inaction. Then I ask myself, what the fuck is action?
Not in America. No, they don't. Not in America. No, they don't. Not in America. No, they don't.
Sorry for asking all these questions. Sorry for not just fucking trusting. Sorry for waiting for clarification. Sorry for not making a fucking difference. Sorry for asking the fuck is the difference. Just trying to learn what is best for the mission. But if waiting to make a decision in participating will mean a consistent, so be it. What's the price of freedom? What's the cost of freedom? What does freedom really mean? And is it worth risking everything?
No.
Oh my god. Wow. I just was saying in the chat, I hadn't seen this whole thing all the way through until tonight, and I'm like, I have the chills.
Thank you.
Yeah, really special. And what's interesting is that you are the lyricist and book writer of Eastbound, or lyricist co-book writer, and here you're writing book music and lyrics. I mean, just there's also so much versatility in your work. which I think is very special. You also were on the original creative team of Hamilton as a music assistant. How did that incredible experience inform your work or influence it, by the way?
Yeah, I think that, you know, those four artists, Lynn, Lack, Tommy, and Andy, are so incredibly collaborative and disciplined. And I think I learned a lot about details and chiseling away, and about specificity and like the importance of, you know, the small words and telling of the story, especially in songs. So I think, you know, I that's what I really took away from that. And to, you know, just keep your head down and tell the story as best as you can.
In this show, I think it's both painful and thrilling that you wrote this before any of the events that we're currently going through, because it's so timely, it's so important. It's a show we need right now. We need to hear this kind of voice about what's going on. And I don't think we hear it enough, honestly, anymore. I think we heard it a lot back in June, and it's one we need to keep hearing from.
Yeah, you know, I think, you know, I've been working on the show for about 5 years now, and I think it's yeah, quite a while. But I think it's been really surreal to, you know, have this moment that we're having, and I've been like looking at the show and seeing how obviously I'm gonna adjust it due to our like shifted social consciousness, but it definitely is surreal to see this moment in real life as opposed to just the play.
Right.
Awesome. Well, your second song is called Interlude Number 1. We'd love for you to set that up.
Yeah. So in the play, well, you know, part 1 is basically constructed around 3 acts of police brutality. And this is the first one in the play, and we essentially see, I actually think that's all I'm gonna set up. And it's performed by, you know, one of the most incredible actors I've ever seen, Duran Mitchell.
He's here tonight. Hi, Doran.
Hi, Duran.
Duran, hi, Duran.
Duran.
Hi, Duran.
And yeah, let's go for it.
Let's go for it.
We are here in the middle of it all. Thousands of people here in Sanford, Florida, to be part of this protest, this rally.
An investigation must go on. The Justice Department must be on the ground. They've got to be involved with this. There are too many unanswered questions, and I really, personally believe this is a hate crime.
I believe that he hunted my son like an animal, tried to detain my son. My son tried to get away, and because he could not detain my son, an altercation ensued, and my son was shot and killed.
Davion Carter, now a martyr, sins will never be the same. Davion, Dino, Dion, the news mispronounced his name. Mispronounce his name. Mispronounce it. Mispronounce. Mispronounce.
I was walking all alone at 3 in the morning. Is it my fault? Is it my fault? A man in the car was watching me. I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid. Is it my fault? Call my mother cause she says I could call her anytime. I'm all alone, she doesn't pick up the phone. Call again, she doesn't pick up the phone. The man gets out of his car and he follows me. Next thing I see, face in the grass as I float above my body. Is it my fault? The gunshot means you gotta wake up now.
Give us your answer as slowly and clearly.
Wow.
I have no words.
Yeah, Duran's incredible. So thank you for bringing that to life, Duran.
Thank you, Duran. We're so glad you're here tonight. So we want to close. You said that there is a Sean story part 2. What made you want to write a show and multiple parts? How are you delving into multiple parts of development right now? Just talk to us more about how that works.
Yeah. So that's a great question.
And you don't hear about shows like that very often. You have like falsettos, you have things like that, but it's not something in the theater you hear about very often.
Yeah, I think to my knowledge, there haven't been 2-part musicals. So I think, you know, what's interesting is I started with part 2 first. And something at the end of Act 1 happens that I won't reveal, or part 1 happens. And that was like the genesis of part 2. But, you know, over the years, I went back and created part 1 and then worked on part 2. And, you know, over the pandemic, I've been working on part 2 pretty frequently. And yeah, it's certainly tricky in terms of doing everything yourself. And it's such a massive piece and very taxing emotionally. But it's been a gift to be challenged by.
Absolutely. Is it your dream to see both parts like run and rep? What is your ideal situation?
Yeah, in rep.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Because Jen had mentioned falsetto sort of as a reference, but falsettos was really 2.
That's 3 parts. That's falsettos, falsetto land, and march of the falsettos. So there's the 2-part musicals you're correct about.
Technically, it's in Trousers March to the Falsettos, Falsetto Land, Make Falsetto.
Right. You're
and I
right.
think other references would be like Angels in America, but that's a play.
Right.
Or companion pieces like Alfred Urey's Marietta project, which I think 2 pieces that are a part of that would be Parade, his musical, and Driving Miss Daisy. But again, those are companion pieces.
Right. So I think there's nothing like this of its kind. And I think that's like what's most exciting of all for theaters to want to produce.
Totally.
Yeah. I just want to close with this. Duran just said this, and I think it's so on par and so beautiful.
Thank you, Duran.
Well, it's amazing to have you here. It's amazing to be able to lift up another one of your pieces because you write such amazing, amazing things. And it's wonderful to work with you and get to collaborate with you. So I'm so excited that we got to share this.
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity.
And we can't wait to hear about part 2 soon.
That's right.
Yeah, hopefully soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Khiyon.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you to this. We've had such an electric audience tonight. I just have to say that. It's been such a great group of people, and you've been so excited.
Absolutely. And it's the 20th virtual installment.
20th.
It couldn't be better.
Really couldn't. But we are excited to announce that the next 2 weeks, actually, we are taking a much needed, excited hiatus to continue to improve our programming and also have some socially distant fun.
That's right. But we'll be back in 2 weeks on Wednesday, September 9th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with 2 new musicals, Walt and Roy and Loch Ness.
Yes, Walt and Roy is written by Richard Allen and Taryn Gray and follows the Disney brothers from them putting down their roots in Los Angeles in 1923 through producing their first feature-length movie, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, in 1937. And my mother is probably freaking out right now because I am from a gigantic Disney family. So I'm really excited about that one.
In fact, if you look at Jen's calendar today, she's supposed to be in Disneyland.
No, that's next week, but
excuse me. I have the weeks wrong.
Yeah.
A super Disney fan. And also the other show, written by father and son writing team of Marshall Paylett and A.D. Penedo. The new musical Loch Ness follows the story of a 12-year-old stuck on her father's research expedition. But when she escapes the ship, she finds the most legendary water monster of all time.
Yes. And we are excited about both shows. We will see you in 2 weeks after some socially distant relaxation and fun.
That's right. So thank you for tuning in tonight.
And thank you for supporting live theater.
Bye.
Goodbye.